Welcome to Mademoiselle Van Gogh's. Step into the colourful world of Tess, a young tour leader in Provence, who struggles with mistakes, laughter, and the challenge of finding her true path. Between rainstorms, mountains, and unexpected romance, she discovers what she really wants from life, and who she wants to share it with. Chapter 1. Trouble at the Flower Market. The lady in the red dress was holding big yellow flowers near her face. Behind her there were many more large ones, small ones, flowers in every color you could imagine. I was happy I got up early to visit the famous flower market in Nice. It was so beautiful, and it helped me forget that I was not going to have a good day, or even a good 10 days. Grant Cooper! I could not believe I had to work with him for 10 days. It was going to be awful, but I tried not to think about that yet. In the market, I could almost forget everything. There was color everywhere, not only the flowers, but also the people in their summer clothes. The houses behind the market were painted red and orange, with blue windows. It would have been a perfect picture if only I had my paints. I did have a pencil in my bag, though. Maybe I could make a quick sketch. I still had some time before I needed to go to the airport. I found the pencil at the bottom of my shoulder bag, next to an old letter. I began drawing on the back of the letter. The woman in the red dress was now smelling some red flowers, and her hair looked very blonde in the sunlight. As I drew, I forgot about everything else. She seemed to know the flower seller, and they laughed together. That gave me plenty of time to work on my picture. I did not notice how long I stood there. But when I looked at my watch, it was already 9 o'clock. Only 30 minutes left to get to the airport. I was going to be late again. Before I could put my pencil away, I felt something soft against my legs. A small brown dog looked up at me. "Hello, boy," I said. "Are you lost?" The dog seemed to smile. I reached out my hand, but suddenly it bit me. I screamed and jumped back. Too quickly. Behind me came a loud crash. "Mademoiselle!" shouted an angry voice. I turned and saw flowers all over the ground. "I'm sorry," I said quickly. "That dog bit me." "What dog?" the flower seller asked crossly. "That one," I said, looking down, but the dog was gone. "It was here just a moment ago," I added. As I turned, my shoulder bag flew through the air and knocked over more flowers. "Mademoiselle!" the seller shouted again. "I'm sorry," I started to say, but then I saw something worse. Dirty flower water was rushing towards the blonde woman's white summer shoes. "Madame!" I cried, but it was too late. "My shoes!" shouted the woman. "My flowers!" shouted the seller. I held up my finger. "My finger!" I cried. But nobody cared about that. After paying a lot of money for the broken flowers and the ruined shoes, I caught a bus to the airport. I was fed up. What a bad start to a new tour. But my tours never seemed to go smoothly. I had worked as a tour leader for Wild Country, my father's walking holiday company, for a year. In that time, I had been late to the airport several times. I once lost my wallet with a week's food money inside. And of course, everyone in the company knew about the time I took a group to the wrong town on the wrong day. They missed their flight home. That was a very famous mistake. Now, if anyone made a mistake, people in the company called it doing a Tess Marriott. I was sure it was Grant Cooper who started saying that. Horrible man. And now my father wanted me to work with Grant on this tour. He thought I would learn from him and become a better leader. But I thought Dad was wrong. Grant and I were too different, and I did not want to be like him. After 30 minutes in the hot bus, I was still thinking about this and feeling unhappy. A tour leader should feel cheerful when meeting the group, but I didn't. A tour leader should always smile, my handbook said. At the beginning, tourists may be tired and worried. Your smile helps them feel better. So I tried to smile as I went into the airport. But it was not easy while I searched for my group. Wild country, walking in Provence. I asked different groups of people. They all looked at me strangely. I began to think I was at the wrong place or the wrong time. Then I saw him, Grant Cooper. My heart jumped, and not just because I feared being late. I didn't like him, but I could not deny he was very handsome. I had liked his looks when I first met him, until he spoke. He always seemed to laugh at me, which made me want to scream. As I got closer, I saw Grant already had the group together. All I could do was join them with my best wild country smile. "Hello, everyone," I said. "I'm Tess Marriott, one of your tour leaders. I hope your journey was good." "Hello, Tess," Grant said. "Did you get lost on your way here?" My face turned red. "No," I said. "I had a small accident, but I'm here now, so we should go to the hotel. The Hotel La Tour, isn't it?" I searched my bag for the hotel information, but only found my market drawing. "Oh, not that. It must be here somewhere." "You've probably lost it," Grant said. "Never mind, I have it here. The Hotel des Deux Tours." I turned my paper over. "Yes, here it is. Hotel des Deux Tours. You're right." Grant smiled. "I usually am. Nice drawing, by the way, Tess." "Now, everyone, since we're finally all here, let's go. The bus is waiting outside." As I followed the group out of the airport, I felt smoke coming from my head. That's how it always felt around Grant Cooper. "Thank you so much, Dad," I thought bitterly. "Thank you very much." Chapter 2. A Call to Dad. On the bus, I sat next to a woman called Ellen. She was Canadian and told me she had been on wild country holidays all over the world. She seemed friendly. As I listened, I looked around at the other people in the group. It was small. Only 5 in total. There was a couple who could not stop touching and kissing each other. I guessed they were just married, so I called them the honeymoon couple in my head. Their names were James and Sarah. There was also a man with white hair, about 60 years old, carrying a walking stick. His name was David. The last person was Astrid, a beautiful young woman from Scandinavia with long blonde hair. She had smiled politely when we met, but now sat looking out the window. She seemed sad. Grant was at the front speaking with David about the mountains. I guessed he wanted to check if David would be able to manage the walking. Wild country trips were hard sometimes, and tourists needed to be healthy. I hoped Grant would be kind when asking, but I wasn't sure. Before working for Wild Country, Grant had been a soldier. Sometimes he spoke to tourists as if they were soldiers too. He had spoken to me like that when we first met, but I wasn't going to let him do it again. The honeymoon couple kissed again. Ellen noticed me watching them. "Makes you feel a bit sick, doesn't it?" she whispered, and I hid my smile with my hand. A tour leader should not laugh at her tourists. Ellen pointed at my finger. "What happened there?" Grant looked over with that smile of his. "Yes, Tess," he said. "What did you do to your finger?" "It's a long story," I answered, and turned my head away. But I still heard him say, "I thought it might be," followed by his laugh. When we arrived at the hotel, Grant took the group to the front desk. I quickly called my father. "I'm on my way to a meeting, Tess," Dad said. "Can I call you later?" "This will only take a minute," I said quickly. "I just want to ask, please let me work with someone else. I don't like Grant. We don't get along." Dad sounded impatient. "Oh, Tess, Grant's a good man, and he's very good at his job. You'll learn a lot from him." "Listen, Dad," I started, but he cut me off. "You'll be fine. When you take over the company one day, you'll need to work well with everyone, won't you? Now I must go. My meeting's about to start. Love you." And the line went dead. When I rejoined the group, everyone looked at me. I felt as if they knew what I had said to my father. "Everything okay, Tess?" Grant asked. I gave him my best smile. "Yes, thank you." "Good," he said, then turned to the group. "Right, you can all go up to your rooms. We'll meet back here at 12 o'clock. I'll explain the tour, and then the rest of the day is free for you." After the group left, only Grant and I remained. "I can help explain the tour if you like," I offered. He looked at me. "I didn't think you'd been here before." "I haven't led a tour here," I said. "But I've been on holiday in this area. I know it fairly well." Grant smiled. "I think I know it better, Tess. I've been leading tours here for over a year. Anyway, I thought you were supposed to learn from me." My face went red. He clearly enjoyed the idea of being my teacher. "I don't need lessons in talking to a group," I said firmly. "Of course," he replied smoothly. "Add anything you think might be useful." From his tone, I knew he didn't believe I could add anything useful. "See you in an hour," he said as he walked away. Then he looked back. "Oh, Tess, if you leave the hotel, try not to get lost." He laughed as he left, and I felt smoke coming out of my head again. It was going to be a very long 10 days. Chapter 3: Shopping Problems. "Tomorrow we drive to Saint-André-les-Alpes," Grant told the group. "From there we begin a 6-hour walk through the forest to Castellane." "You'll love Castellane," I added quickly. "It's beautiful, with a lovely river and mountains everywhere." Grant gave me a look. "Thank you, Tess," he said dryly. "While we are in Castellane, you can climb Robillon Mountain, which is 1,660 meters high. Or you can sit at a nice restaurant with good food and wine while enjoying the view," I said cheerfully. Grant's voice grew sharp. "The next day we make an early climb above the Verdon River. There you can see the Cadieres de Brandis Mountains, 1,000 meters high." "The colors are amazing," I told the group. "The river is so blue, and the mountains look like giants watching us." Ellen laughed. "Are you two talking about the same trip?" "Exactly what I was thinking," Grant said crossly. "Do we carry our own bags?" David asked nervously. "No," I said quickly before Grant could. "The bus takes them." "Right," Grant added. "You only carry what you need for the day water, lunch, money. The bus carries everything else: tents, sleeping bags, cooking things." He checked his watch. "The rest of today is free. Tess and I will buy food for the tour. We'll meet you here tomorrow at 8 o'clock to leave for Saint-André-les-Alpes." He stood up, and called to me like I was a dog. "Come on, Tess." I didn't know why he wanted me with him. Half the time he walked ahead of me, and when I caught up, he didn't agree with anything I suggested to buy. "That cheese won't work, Tess," Grant said. "Why not? It tastes great," I replied. "It will smell bad after a few days in the sun," he answered. "Not peaches, Tess," he said next. "Oh, what's wrong with peaches?" "They're too soft. Apples are better." And so it went on. Secretly, I knew he was right, but it only made me more annoyed. I loved smelly cheese and soft peaches, but I wanted to buy them just because he told me not to. After we carried the shopping back to the hotel, Grant said, "That's me done for the day. I'm meeting someone this afternoon." His smile made it clear the someone was a woman, as if I cared. "See you tomorrow then," I said, and turned away. "Yes," he said loudly, "at 8 o'clock. I spun around. "I can tell the time, you know." "Good," he said with a laugh. Then, before I could leave, he called again. "Look, Tess." I turned back, annoyed. "What now?" "I didn't ask to work with you, and you didn't ask to work with me. But here we are. Shall we at least try to get along?" He was the one always making me angry, always laughing at me. "Still," I said, "I'll try if you try." He gave me a smile I didn't like. "Of course I'll try." Then he waved and walked off, probably to meet his someone. Poor woman. She had no idea what she was getting into. I went to my room to work on a painting of the woman from the market. But I couldn't focus. Grant's words kept bothering me. Why did he enjoy teasing me so much? He always thought I only had this job because my father owned Wild Country. And the sad truth was, he was right. If the company wasn't Dad's, I would have been fired after the wrong airport mistake. The truth made me angry. I didn't want to be a bad tour leader. In fact, I didn't even want to be a tour leader. I wanted to be an artist. But Dad didn't want that for me. His father, my grandfather, had been an artist. But he died poor. Dad wanted me to have security, not poverty. Since Mum died 15 years ago, Dad and I had been very close. We were different, but we loved each other. I wanted to please him, but it was hard. I wanted to do what I was good at, painting. I knew I would never be good at managing Wild Country, the future he wanted for me. For now, there was nothing I could do. I turned back to my painting, and soon, color and light pushed all other thoughts away. Chapter 4. The Journey Starts. To be sure I wasn't late, I woke up early the next morning and went to breakfast at 7. Ellen was already there. She waved, and I took my food to her table. "Morning," I said. "Mind if I sit with you?" "Of course not," she smiled. I stirred sugar into my coffee. "Did you enjoy your afternoon in Nice?" "Oh, yes," she said. "I bought so many things. It's lucky our bags go by bus." She gave me a look. "How was your shopping with Grant?" My face went red. "Fine," I said quickly, and she smiled. "He's very handsome," Ellen said. "Is he?" I asked. "Don't you think so?" she continued. "I haven't really thought about it," I lied, wanting to change the subject. "Are you excited about today's walk?" "Yes, very much," she replied. Just then Grant entered the restaurant, holding hands with a tall woman with black hair. "Who's that?" Ellen asked, sounding surprised. Grant saw us. "Good morning, ladies. Beautiful day, isn't it?" he called. "That must be his French girlfriend," I told Ellen. "Is she coming on the tour?" Ellen asked. "I don't know," I said. But when the bus left for Saint-André-les-Alpes, the woman stayed behind. Grant kissed her goodbye, and she stood watching us drive away, looking sad. "Do you think he'll see her again?" Ellen whispered. "Who knows?" I said. Grant sat at the front next to the driver. "As we travel, I'll tell you about the tour," he said. He smiled at everyone, and they all smiled back, except me. "As you know from the holiday details, we'll spend 2 nights au Sauvage," he explained. David raised his hand. "I read that. But what does it mean?" "It means we put up our tents in the wild," Grant told him. "Not in a campsite, not near towns or villages. No bars, no restaurants." "And no toilets?" Ellen asked with a grin. Grant grinned back. "Correct. But don't worry, there are trees, and plenty of earth." Astrid looked unhappy at this, and I couldn't blame her. She never looked happy, really. I made a note to talk with her soon. She seemed close to tears most of the time. "Tonight," Grant continued, "we will have toilets and a very good restaurant. But tomorrow you'll need to learn how to put up your tents. I'll show you tonight, and after that you'll do it yourselves. It isn't hard, but you must do it properly, or the tent might blow away." He looked around. "Any questions?" "No?" "Tess, anything you want to add? About all the colors, perhaps?" He was teasing me again, but this time I kept calm. I gave him a sweet smile. "No, thank you, Grant, you've explained it all." He turned away, and Ellen nudged me with her elbow. "Isn't he wonderful?" she whispered. "I could eat him." "No, thank you," I thought. That would give me stomachache. Chapter 5. Colors on the Walk. We started our 6-hour walk from Saint-André-les-Alpes around 11 o'clock. Soon we were climbing a steep hill. Grant walked in front with Ellen, talking deeply. The honeymoon couple were behind them, holding hands as always. Then came Astrid, David, and me. I could hear Ellen laughing with Grant. She was probably already telling him how wonderful he was. By the end of the holiday, his head would be bigger than ever. I couldn't understand why women liked him so much. He might look good, but once you spent a few minutes with him, it was clear looks weren't everything. I decided to chat with David. "Climbing is hard work, isn't it?" I said. But he seemed fine better than me, actually. "I find going downhill harder," he explained. "It's my leg." "What happened to it?" I asked. "A motorbike accident when I was 20, he said. "My fault. I was driving badly. It was long ago. I can't even remember what it's like to have 2 good legs. But it doesn't stop me doing what I want." "I can see that," I said. He was moving faster than me. "Do you mind if I go ahead?" he asked kindly. "It's easier for me in the morning." "Of course not," I said, though I felt silly. A tour leader should climb without problems, but my legs were already hurting. On holiday here before, I'd gone everywhere by car. This was different. After half an hour, I was hot and tired. I stopped to rest and looked back at the town. From up here, the roofs looked orange-red, with dark hills behind them. The sky was heavy with black clouds. "Tess!" Grant's voice shouted from above. I looked up to see him and the others waiting. "What are you doing?" he called angrily. "Just looking at the colors," I shouted back and started climbing again. When I caught up, Grant looked like one of the black clouds. "When she's not a tour leader, Tess is an artist," he told the group, hoping they'd laugh. But they didn't. "Really?" said Ellen and David together. Even the honeymoon couple looked interested. "We need pictures for our new house," they told me. "Could you paint one of this area?" "Of course," I said, pleased. "I'd love to." Grant's face turned darker. "Shall we keep walking, if you've seen enough colors for now, Tess?" Sarah hid a laugh behind her hand. I smiled at her. "We'll talk more tonight, Sarah," I said. We walked on. Then the rain came. Heavy rain. Within seconds, those without coats, Sarah, James, Astrid and me, were soaked. I walked beside Astrid. "Don't worry, the sun will come back, and we'll dry quickly. It gets very hot here." "I don't like the heat," Astrid said sadly. "Oh," I said, surprised. "Why come to the south of France if you didn't like heat?" Her hair was pale, and her skin was fair. I hoped she had a sun hat. "We'll be in the forest soon," I added. The rain stopped as we entered the trees, but the forest kept out the sun. Our wet clothes stayed cold and heavy. My shoes squelched with water. It was horrible. Ahead, Sarah and James laughed together, not caring. I imagined them years later, telling their grandchildren, "On our honeymoon, it rained and rained." They kissed again, so I left them and turned to Astrid. "They look happy, don't they?" I said with a smile. "Yes," she said sadly. "But I don't understand why they came on this holiday. If I were just married, I'd want to be alone." "Yes," I agreed. "Me too. So why did you choose this holiday, Astrid? Do you enjoy walking?" "Yes, but..." She stopped. "But what?" I asked. "I didn't choose this holiday. My boyfriend chose it." "Oh, I see," I said. "And why didn't he come with you?" Her voice grew strange. "He went to Australia with his new girlfriend." I looked at her in shock. She was crying now. I felt awful. I had only wanted to make conversation, but I had made it worse. "I'm sorry, Astrid," I said gently. "So am I," she said through tears. Australia was the place I dreamed of going with my boyfriend, Christian. But he wanted to come here. I said yes because I only wanted to be with him. Then, 1 week ago, he told me it was over. He had met someone new. He doesn't love me anymore. It isn't fair. Ahead of us, Sarah and James were still laughing, arms around each other. Astrid stopped walking, covered her face, and cried loudly. Everyone turned to look, even Grant. "Oh, very good work, Tess," I thought angrily, putting a hand on her shoulder. "Very good work indeed." Chapter 6. Rain and Tents. I wish I could say the day improved after that, but it didn't. Astrid stopped crying, yet she stayed quiet and unhappy. After lunch, the rain started again, and it poured for the rest of the afternoon. By the time we reached the campsite, even those with raincoats were wet. I could also tell David's leg was hurting, though he said nothing. Ellen, James, and Sarah were no longer smiling either. "I'll go ahead and meet the driver. The bus should be here," Grant said. "Just keep walking, Tess. The campsite is called Les Pins de Montagne. It's 2 kilometers ahead, through the village." With that, he hurried away. We stood under some dripping trees and watched him disappear. "Okay," I said, trying to sound cheerful. "Anyone know a joke to make us feel better?" Nobody spoke. "All right, I'll start," I said. "Where do horses go when they're ill?" "To the hospital." "That's a terrible joke," Ellen said. But a few people smiled. "Okay then, what game do cows play at parties?" "Musical chairs." "That's even worse." Ellen laughed. And soon everyone was laughing too. We took turns telling silly jokes as we walked on. By the time we reached the village, spirits were a little higher. Outside a cafe bar, Ellen stopped. "I don't know about the rest of you, but I'd love a hot coffee." The others agreed. "A quick one should be fine," I said. Inside, the cafe was warm. There was even a fire burning. "This is the wettest summer in 50 years, the owner told us. We sat by the fire and dried our clothes. After finishing our drinks, nobody wanted to leave. The owner came back. "More coffee?" he asked. "One more, please," Ellen said, smiling at me. "We serve food as well," the man added. "I'm hungry," Sarah said. "Me too," James agreed. "It's been ages since lunch," Ellen added. David picked up a menu. "I couldn't walk another step until I've eaten something." I looked out the window. The rain was still heavy. Grant was waiting at the campsite, but I couldn't drag the group away. Everyone had already chosen food. Grant would have to understand. I searched for my phone to call him, but it wasn't in my bag or jacket. Maybe it was in my suitcase. I would have to go myself. "I'll tell Grant where we are," I said. "See you later." "Okay," they all answered happily. As I walked through the rain, I became less sure Grant would understand. He had told me to bring the group to the campsite, not to stop at a cafe. "Tess?" Grant was waiting when I arrived. "Hello," I said. "Where is everyone?" he asked. "I tried calling, but your phone just rang." "Maybe I left it somewhere," I admitted. His face stayed serious. "Where's the group?" "They're having coffee and some food in the cafe in the village." "Food?" Grant repeated angrily. "What about the tents? I told you I wanted to show them how to put them up first." "But it was raining," I said. "They wanted to get dry." "They'll want to be dry tonight too," he shouted. "They won't be if their tents aren't ready." "Well," I said, "we can put them up." "Yes, we'll have to," he said sharply, and he marched off toward the bus. I followed nervously. I had never put up a tent before. How hard could it be? Very hard, as it turned out. The tent was big, and I couldn't figure out which way it went. Then the wind caught it, and suddenly the wet fabric was over my head like a blanket. "Oh!" I cried, struggling. Grant came over. "Do you even know what you're doing, Tess?" he asked. I shook my head. "You've never led a camping tour before, have you?" "No," I admitted. "Have you even been camping?" "No." "Then watch and learn." So I watched him put up 5 tents, while I fought to put up the last one. Rain poured down, and I was soaked to the skin. "Not like that, like this," Grant shouted. "Do it properly." "I'm trying," I snapped. "Are you really, Tess?" he said impatiently, fixing my mistakes. "Yes!" I cried angrily. "If you hadn't let the group stay in the cafe, we wouldn't be doing this now," he said. I knew he was right, but I wouldn't admit it. They're on holiday. I wanted them to enjoy themselves. He looked at me. If I wasn't here to train you, I'd tell you to do just that. Do what? I asked. Forget being a leader. Just take a holiday. I couldn't agree with him. Of course. You don't think I can lead this tour on my own, do you? No, he said simply. And neither does your father. That's why he sent you to me. You're both wrong, I said hotly. I can lead this tour. Why don't you take a holiday and I'll be leader? Grant stood tall. Okay, he said, and handed me the bus keys. You be leader. I'm going to the village for dinner. See you at breakfast. He waved and walked off. I stood there shocked. What had I just done? Back at the cafe, the group were cheerful with wine and food. Tess, Ellen said loudly. Everything okay? Yes, I said unhappily. Your tents are up. We should go before it's dark. But nobody wanted to leave. So I gave up and ordered food too. By the time we returned to the campsite, it was nearly midnight. We struggled in the dark to find our tents. Shh, I said. People are sleeping. Shh, everyone echoed, laughing even louder. I thought I heard Grant cough from his tent. At last, everyone was inside. I crawled into my sleeping bag, cold and tired. Would Grant really let me lead tomorrow? If so, I'd have to prove him wrong. Chapter 7. Proving Myself. You can't take down tents when people are still sleeping inside. And at 9 o'clock the next morning, no one wanted to get up. Across the campsite, Grant was finishing breakfast. He waved at me with a smile. Morning, Tess. Still sleeping, are they? Oh dear. Tell me when you're ready to leave. Then he lay down on the grass, put his hat over his face, and relaxed. I wanted to rip that hat off, but I didn't. Instead, I went into Ellen's tent and shook her. Ellen, time to get up. What time is it? She asked sleepily. 9 o'clock, I said, but she was already dozing again. I tried David next, but he didn't hear me. From James and Sarah's tent came soft laughter, so I didn't dare disturb them. Only Astrid was awake, looking pale and tired. I will get up soon, she said in her sad voice. Her tent was close to Grant's. As I left it, I heard him speak from under his hat. Pardon? I asked, stepping closer. Just then, I tripped on a stone and fell almost on top of him. Our faces were suddenly very close. I asked if you need help, he said softly. His brown eyes held mine, and I found myself staring at his mouth. It was a very nice mouth. I couldn't help remembering how he kissed that Frenchwoman. Tess? He said. What? I answered dreamily. He smiled, and I felt he knew exactly what I was thinking. I asked if you need help getting everyone up. We don't have to play this game. Forget last night. I'll go back to being leader. I snapped back to myself. This was Grant Cooper, the man who made my life difficult and loved to laugh at me. What was I doing thinking about kissing him? No, I said quickly, standing up. Thanks, but I'll be tour leader. Okay, Grant said. But if you change your mind, just tell me. No chance, I thought, as I marched off. Behind me, I was sure I heard him laughing. We finally left the campsite an hour and a half late. The sky was full of dark clouds again, and we all wished we could travel on the bus instead of walking. The group was quiet. No one felt cheerful after last night. The only happy one was Grant, singing to himself as he led the way. I certainly didn't feel like singing. Another steep hill lay ahead. My legs hurt, and my thoughts kept returning to Grant. How could I want to kiss him and push him off a cliff at the same time? "Excuse me, Tess," David said, slowing to walk beside me. "Yes, David," I smiled. "Are you sure we're going the right way? Grant told me we should pass between those two mountains, but we seem to be heading away from them." I looked across at the mountains, then down at my map. Oh no, David was right. We had missed the turning several kilometers back. I had been too busy thinking about Grant to notice. "Problem, Tess?" Grant called with a smile as he came back down the hill. I forced a smile. "Not really. We just need to go back a little. Sorry, everyone." Nobody complained, but I knew they were annoyed, especially David, who hated going downhill. Grant had clearly known we were wrong, but had said nothing. He was acting like a child, and it wasn't fair to the group. I caught up with him. "This is stupid," I hissed. "What's that, Tess?" he asked with that maddening smile. "Why didn't you tell me we'd gone the wrong way?" I demanded. "You didn't ask," he said. "You're the leader, remember? If you want help, you have to ask." Then he strode ahead, leaving me behind. Things only got worse. High on a mountain with no trees around, the rain started again. Hard. Our raincoats didn't keep us dry. It was lunchtime, but there was nowhere to stop, and I wasn't even sure where we were. I pictured us stuck up there all night, lost in the storm. Feeling sick, I hurried to Grant. "Can you help?" I asked quietly. "What's that?" he said, pretending not to hear. He had heard me, I knew. He just wanted me to say it again. I had no choice. Keeping the group safe mattered more than my pride. "I don't think I can do this," I admitted. "I think we're lost. I need your help." "Say please," he said. I clenched my teeth. "Please, please, can you help?" He smiled. "Of course. You only had to ask." It was one of the hardest things I had ever done. But within 10 minutes, he had led us to a sheltered spot under some trees where we ate our lunch. For the rest of the afternoon, he guided us safely up and down the hills. I stayed at the back, deep in thought. I had to face the truth. I was never going to be a good tour leader. I didn't even want to be one. What I wanted was to be an artist. That was the only thing I was good at. My father would just have to accept it. As soon as we got back to Nice, I would tell him. Chapter 8. Funny Drawings. The next few days were almost the same. Grant always led at the front, and I stayed at the back. He kept us on a strict timetable. Up at 8, walking by 9, rest at 11 and 3, lunch at 1, tents up at 6, dinner at 7:30. And every single day it rained. One afternoon, Ellen walked beside me. "This isn't much of a holiday," she said. "It's more like hard work. He may look good, but up there he's just Mr. Clock. Do this at this time, do that at that time. And tonight will be even worse. No toilets, no restaurants. Who thought camping au sauvage was a good idea? I'm tired of it, Tess. Tell us some of your bad jokes again. That was fun." I smiled at her. Maybe I did have something to give the group. Something Grant couldn't. "I'll think of something," I promised. Good, Ellen said. Then she hurried to join Grant at the front, and before long I could hear them laughing together. By evening, though, no one was laughing. The place for our camp might have been beautiful on a clear night, but now it was wet and dark. We ate in the cooking tent with the sound of rain hitting the roof. After dinner, I stood up. If anyone wants a caricature, I can draw one, I said. What's a caricature? Astrid asked. It's a picture that makes you look silly, Grant explained. I frowned at him. It's a funny picture, I told Astrid. It looks like you, but if you have a big nose, I draw it bigger. If you have small eyes, I make them smaller. Astrid nodded. I've seen those in newspapers. No, thank you. Well, I want one, Ellen said. She sat down in front of me. Go on, Tess. Make me look as stupid as possible. I moved the lamps for better light and studied her face. Ellen's best feature was her eyes warm and full of life. Her hair was wild too, like it had a mind of its own. Suddenly, I knew what to do, and I smiled. You've thought of something, Ellen laughed. Yes, I said, sketching quickly, but you may not like it. I don't care, go ahead. After 5 minutes, I showed her the picture. I had drawn her half woman, half cat with crazy hair, and a food bowl filled with chocolates. Ellen burst out laughing. That's me on a bad day. Brilliant, Tess. She passed it around, and soon everyone wanted one. Me next, Sarah said. Even Astrid asked in the end. Her neck was long, and her eyes large and sad. So I drew them that way. She looked at the picture for a long time, and then tears filled her eyes. Oh no, Astrid, I said, worried. I'm sorry. She shook her head. No, it's fine. It's just... Christian, my boyfriend, always said he loved my neck. He said it was like a swan's. David nodded. Yes, like a swan. Astrid walked away, crying softly. The mood in the tent dropped, and soon most people went to bed. Only Grant and I were left. Well, I said, standing up to leave, but Grant stopped me. Wait, you haven't drawn me yet. Chapter 9, The River Confusion. Grant sat down opposite me. I didn't want to draw him. That would mean staring at his face for too long. You don't really want me to do this, I said. I was only drawing to cheer up the group. And what's wrong with cheering me up? He asked with a lazy smile. I sighed. All right then. With the others, I usually studied their faces first. With Grant, I didn't. I started drawing at once, only glancing up when I had to. Each time I looked, he was watching me. It felt more like he was the one drawing me. You're a good artist, Grant said suddenly. Yes, yes, I muttered. And a bad tour leader. I know, you don't need to remind me. I wasn't going to, he said. Those sketches you did were really good. You're talented. Why don't you work as an artist? I don't care about money, I said quickly. Then maybe you don't believe in yourself, he suggested. I didn't answer. Can you stay quiet? It's hard to draw while talking. Okay, he said with a smile. But think about it. You should be an artist. I worked in silence for a while, but when I looked at the picture, I didn't like it. It wasn't a caricature at all, so I placed it face down and began again. What's wrong with that one? He asked. It just wasn't right. Let me see. No, I said firmly. Now please be quiet. You need to think, he said knowingly. That's right, I admitted. This time, I took longer. Grant was strong, proud, and always wanted to be the best. What animal was like that? Then the answer came, and I smiled as I sketched quickly. I don't like that smile, he said. I ignored him until the drawing was done. Here, I said. I hope you like it. But I didn't wait. I ran out into the rain, laughing. I had drawn him half big cat, half bull, with a ring through his nose. Outside, I walked toward the river to find somewhere private. Passing Astrid's tent, I saw it was open, rain blowing inside. I peeked in. Astrid, I called, but the tent was empty. I closed it and kept going, though worry filled me. Astrid had been so sad. Where was she now? Astrid, I called softly in the trees. Suddenly, I heard a splash in the water. Something big had jumped in. My heart froze. Astrid, I shouted, running to the riverbank. But the rain was heavy and the night too dark. I couldn't see anything. Panicking, I hurried back to the tents. Grant was still in the cooking tent, looking at one of my drawings. When he saw my face, he stood up quickly. What is it, Tess? It's Astrid, I gasped. I think she jumped in the river. He ran with me to the trees, pulling off his jacket, boots, and trousers. Where did she go in? He demanded. Here, I think, I said nervously. But I didn't really see her. I just heard something. Too late. Grant had already dived into the freezing water. I stood trembling as he swam, diving again and again under the dark water. Finally, he looked at me. I can't see anything. Are you sure it was here? I swallowed hard. Well, actually, I didn't see her at all. What? He shouted from the river. I only heard a splash, I admitted. At that moment, a noise came from further upstream. Both of us turned in time to see a huge soaking wet dog clamber out of the water and run into the trees. Oh no, I whispered. Sorry. Grant swam back silently. He said nothing as he dressed again, just walked past me. I'll make you a hot coffee, I offered weakly. No thanks, he said coldly. You'd probably spill it on me. Back at the tents, he bent to check Astrid's tent. Astrid, he called gently. A scream came from inside. What do you want? Go away. It's okay, Grant said quickly. It's me, Grant. Leave me alone. I'm not interested in you. Get away. Other tents opened as people peeked out. All right, Grant said, standing. Go back to sleep, everyone. Then he turned to me. Talk to her, Tess. After all, you started this. And he walked away. Feeling miserable, I spoke softly through Astrid's tent. It's okay. Grant was just checking you were safe. That's what he says, she replied. But I've seen how he looks at women. Even you, Tess. Be careful. Good night, Astrid, I whispered. Back in my tent, I couldn't sleep. Because of me, Grant had jumped into a river for nothing. Now Astrid thought he was dangerous. And worse, I realized it had hurt him when she screamed. He wasn't just angry, he was hurt. I remembered the first drawing I had made of him, the one I didn't finish. It wasn't a caricature at all. It was just him strong, stubborn, and handsome. Too handsome. You like him? A voice in my head whispered. No, I argued. I can't. But deep inside, I knew I did. Chapter 10. The Wrong Mountain. The next morning, the group was quiet as we set off. Astrid kept far from Grant, avoiding him completely. I wanted to explain what had really happened the night before, but it didn't feel like the right time. What was all that noise about? Ellen whispered to me. Nothing, just a mistake, I said quickly. What kind of mistake? She pressed. I forced a smile. Let's forget it. Tell me about your job. She frowned. No thanks. I came here to escape work. You're no fun anymore, Tess. You're becoming like Mr. Clock. Then she walked ahead. Oh dear. I knew from experience that a tour leader could never please everyone, but it would be nice to please someone. At least the rain had stopped. But we had another problem. Expecting more rain, we were all wearing coats and heavy clothes. Now, with no trees for shade, the sun beat down. The mountains were beautiful, but we were too hot to enjoy them. I caught up with James and Sarah. This weather's a big change, isn't it? I think I liked the rain better, Sarah said weakly. Sarah's tired, James explained. Climbing mountains every day is exhausting. We're starting to think this trip was a mistake for our honeymoon. We met on a wild country holiday, Sarah added. That's why we booked this one. But honestly, we just want to be alone. And sleep in, James said. They quickly added, everyone's nice. It's not that. But nobody seems very happy. I understand, I said softly. Couldn't you stay in a hotel for a few days and rejoin us later? We thought of it, James said, but we can't afford it. We're saving for a house. Still, we'd love that painting of the mountains. I smiled. Of course. Give me your address and I'll send it to you. Perfect, Sarah said. But for now, don't worry about us. We'll be fine. They kissed, and I left them alone. They really were a sweet couple. Up ahead, Ellen was laughing with Grant, her hand touching his arm. I felt sick watching them. The night in the cooking tent came back to me when Grant said I was a good artist. He had meant it too. That had mattered to me more than I wanted to admit. At breakfast, though I had sat far away, I had noticed everything he did. The way he stirred sugar into his coffee, the way he held his spoon. Why did I feel like a schoolgirl around him now? If he knew, he would only laugh. And still Ellen kept touching him, and Grant smiled down at her. Astrid was right. One girlfriend wasn't enough for him. I needed to forget about Grant Cooper. By the afternoon, the village where we were staying came into view below us, but instead of leading us down, Grant turned toward another mountain. Stop, Tess, the old voice in my head warned. But the new me stayed silent. I was almost afraid to speak to him. We followed him up. I was hot, tired, and annoyed watching him and Ellen together. Clouds gathered, and soon heavy rain poured again. This is awful, Sarah cried, pulling on her coat. Grant and Ellen waited for us. It's not far to the top, Grant said. Then we'll head down to the village. David looked at him. Are you saying we didn't need to climb this mountain? Grant shrugged. No, not really. But we were early. From the top you can see for miles on a good day. He pointed toward the clouds. All we saw was grey rain. Everyone groaned, but we kept walking. At the top, no one looked happy. David's leg was clearly hurting on the way down. That evening, after we set up our tents in the rain, I lay down, exhausted. I must have dozed off because loud voices woke me. It was Ellen shouting at Grant, "Don't deny it! You've shown you like me, you laughed with me, looked at me like that all day. What's wrong? Am I not pretty enough? Do you only like blondes?" I couldn't hear his reply, but Ellen's voice rose again. "Not true. Everyone knows you tried to get into Astrid's tent last night. She's welcome to you." Then she stormed off to her tent. For a while, it was quiet. Then I heard David cough and speak. "Grant, can I have a word?" "Why not?" Grant said bitterly. "Everyone else wants to. What is it?" "It's about today's walk," David said firmly. "I didn't want to climb that extra mountain. You didn't give us the choice. That isn't fair." "Fine," Grant snapped. "Then I won't be leader anymore. Tess can lead. You all like her better anyway." I peeked out of my tent just in time to see him storm off. He glanced at me. "Did you hear that, Tess? Over to you." And he was gone. Chapter 11, Speaking Up. Nobody wanted to cook that night, and Grant hadn't come back, so we went together to the village to find food. There was only one hotel, but it looked nice. We sat by a window in the restaurant. Through the open door, I saw the woman behind the bar. It was her, the woman from the flower market, with the ruined white shoes. She seemed to own the place. What a surprise! "Excuse me," I told the group. "I'll be back in a minute." I spoke with the woman, whose name was Marie, and shared my idea. At first she was surprised, but finally she agreed. I was delighted. At least something good would happen today. As I returned, the door opened and Grant walked in. He looked as if he wanted to leave again, but there was nowhere else to eat. "It's fine," he said flatly. "I'll sit over there." He crossed the room to a corner table, looking miserable. "The further away the better," Ellen muttered. "Yes," Astrid agreed coldly. The others stayed quiet, but everyone looked fed up. Suddenly, I had enough. "Listen, all of you," I said firmly. "You're being unfair to Grant." "He asked for it," Ellen said. "Flirting with me and Astrid. Forcing David up mountains for no reason." "And is it Grant's fault it rained?" I shot back. "Or that this holiday isn't what some of you wanted?" "Well," Ellen began, but I didn't let her finish. "Astrid," I said, turning to her. "You're wrong. Last night, Grant came to your tent only to check you were safe. I was worried about you. I thought you'd... Well, it doesn't matter. Grant was just trying to help." Next, I looked at Ellen. "Grant's friendly to everyone. It's his job. You thought it meant more. You're a lovely woman, and many men will notice you. But if Grant doesn't, that's no reason to hate him." Ellen's face reddened, but she said nothing. Then I faced David. "You're right. Grant should let you choose whether to climb extra mountains. But on a sunny day, the view would have been amazing." David nodded slowly. "That's true." Finally, I turned to Sarah and James. "What did we do wrong?" Sarah asked nervously. "Nothing," I smiled. "Except choosing the wrong holiday. But I found a way to fix that, at least for a couple of nights." Marie has agreed to let you stay here in the hotel. She has a nice double room for you. But Tess, James said, we told you we can't afford it. You don't need to pay, I said. Why not? Sarah asked. Marie and I have met before, I explained. I drew her picture at the market. She wants it for the hotel. I told her she could have it if she let you stay here. Sarah's eyes lit up. Oh, Tess! James shook his head. We can't let you do that. I want to, I said with a smile. Then I stood. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to sit with Grant. But before I reached him, I spotted the hotel phone. This was my chance. If I could talk to the group like that, I could talk to Dad too. He answered right away. Tess, how are you? And how are you getting on with Grant? Everything's fine, Dad, I said. Except, I don't want to work for Wild Country anymore. I'm sorry, but I can't take over from you. I want to do the right work for me, and that means becoming a full-time artist. After the call, I joined Grant at his table. He still looked unhappy, staring at the menu. Well done, he said flatly. For what? I asked. For winning. They all prefer you. You're the better leader. It wasn't about winning, I told him. I get lost, remember? You make people happy, he said. But I can't get them up on time, I replied. You help them enjoy their holiday, he said. You help them climb mountains, I answered. You don't like compliments, do you? He asked, finally meeting my eyes. I smiled softly. Okay, thank you for the nice words. But the truth is, I'm not good at organizing. That's what a real leader must do. I'm not even good at organizing myself. That's what I just told my father. His eyes widened. You told him? Yes, I nodded. I said I don't want to work for Wild Country. I want to study painting. He looked shocked. You're leaving? I can't believe it. Oh, why not? You were the one who told me I should be an artist. Yes, but I didn't think you'd actually listen, he said quickly. Are you sure? Yes, I said firmly. It's what I've wanted for a long time. I just needed courage to take the step. You helped me. What did your father say? Grant asked. I remembered Dad's words. It hadn't been easy, but he'd accepted it. He told me he'd been waiting for me to decide. He only put me with you so I could see what the job was really like. He knew when I was sure I'd be brave enough to speak. Tears filled my eyes. Good old Dad, I whispered. Grant leaned closer. What's wrong? I thought you'd be happy. I am, I said, blowing my nose. I've got what I wanted. He took my hand suddenly, his face serious. And is that all you want, Tess? Just to be an artist? I blushed and looked down, but forced myself to meet his eyes. No, I also want us to be friends, if you want that too. Grant was quiet for a moment. Then he smiled. No, Tess, that isn't what I want at all. My heart sank, but he still held my hand. I don't want to be your friend, he said. I like you. I really like you. I want you to be my girlfriend. Chapter 12, Mademoiselle Van Gogh. The day was very hot. The mountains looked blue and smoky against the deep blue sky. Below me, a field of dark purple flowers shone near the bright orange houses of a little village. I had to work quickly to get the colors right with the paints I had. Suddenly I felt a strong hand on my shoulder, and someone kissed my cheek. "Come on, Mademoiselle Van Gogh," said my boyfriend. "We must go." I put my brush in the water and turned to kiss Grant on the mouth. All right, Mr. Clock," I said with a laugh. Behind us, the others shouted, "Come on, you two! Lunch is finished! We have mountains to climb." It was summer. I was back in Provence working for Wild Country again, half as a tour leader, because Grant was the other half. He organized things, and I helped keep people happy. We made a good team. If you enjoyed Mademoiselle Van Gogh, don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more graded English stories, and share your thoughts in the comments. Which moment from Tess's journey was your favorite? Stay tuned for more stories, rewritten in simple, clear English perfect, for learning, relaxing, and enjoying.